Morning crew, we're back. It's day 4 of building the engine hoist. Engine stand. I always get it wrong. Engine stand, Andy. Okay, so I'm just busy marking out the big steel plate that's all cut to size. I've gone for 300mm by 260, slightly larger than my original plan, but I can always cut it down, but I can't add to it. And I already had one of these that I could cut out of the plate. The other plate wasn't quite big enough to get another one of these out of if I mess it up. So, wait for the earthquake. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to crack on and get this marked up. Now, I've come up with a cunning plan. Let me show you what that is. It's used.
You don't paint something without warning.
Honestly. Now, my original plan was to cut a hole in the middle of that big thick plate so that the plate would then sit on this mounting plane here, which is where the wheel mounts on the vehicle. However, we now know that the plasma cutter will not cut that thick steel plate, 25mm. It's too thick. I do have a hole saw big enough, 110mm I think it is, thereabouts, to cut it out, but it's too thick. There's no way my little pillar drill press is going to be able to cope with such a large hole saw through such a thick steel plate. So I was pondering over this last night whilst having a cider, and I thought, you know what? I know exactly what I'll do. We're going to mount the plate on the top here. Now, there's two benefits to that. One is we then have 6 bolts here holding the plate on, which are normally holding the freewheeling hub on, but also the 6 stud holes will also have bolts through holding the plate on. So the plate's going to be bolted to the hub with 12 bolts. Wow, awesome. Now, there will be, obviously, a gap between the steel plate and this backing plate. So I'm going to make some spacers on the lathe, drill them out 12mm, and then we can put the spacers in around the hub, and then when we bolt it on nice and tight, it'll all sit at exactly the same level and they'll all be tight and it'll work brilliantly. Bit more work, but hey, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Now, like I said earlier, I only have the option of one plate. I can't cut another one if I mess this up, and I've got 12 bolts now to mark out the positioning very accurately, and then once it's all marked up, we'll do some drilling on Priscilla. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? See you shortly. Holy moly, I hope these are in the right place. It's taken me some time to try and get it right. Unfortunately, I can't just pop the hub on top of the steel. So, there he goes. Nice quiet drill press, this one. That's one. Whew, done. Okay, I'll go through with an 8, I think. 8.5, because we use that less. It's quite nerve-wracking, I must admit. Can't make any mistakes. Yes, I can fix them. Don't want to make any mistakes. I'll crack on. We'll go up to 8mm next, and then we'll do the... I'm going to go 12, and we'll just test it. And if things are a little bit tight, then I'll knock them out to 12.5. Quite happy at 12.5 anyway. One more to go. This is just 12mm. I reckon we're going to have to go to 12.5, but we'll soon find out. Whew, good job, Priscilla. Well done. She's just not quite as powerful as the other pillar drill, which is out of action at the moment. Okay, well, let's go and find out the worst. Okay. Now, I know this isn't categorical proof, but it's at least working concept. Okay, so the 12mm bolts are a little bit loose in where the studs used to be, so that's one saving grace. That should give us a little bit of leeway, shouldn't it? Well, one fits. One's always going to fit, Mr. Young. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and there was a little bit of room, so I'm very happy with that. Now, the next problem is these bolts are not long enough. We need something that's going to be about another 20mm longer, so I'll have to get some in. That's not ideal. Pretty sure I've not got any. I might have a couple kicking around that'll just keep the thing together, but at least they go through. That's the important thing. So we're still at 12 now. I'm not going to drill them out 12.5. Pleased that I decided just to do 12 for now, because don't forget, these bolts are not actually 12mm across where the threads are. They're a little bit less. Okay, next job is to drill the other 6 holes. Damn. What I'm going to do, I've put 2 bolts in, and I'm just going to measure with the belt. The bolts are at M10. I'm just going to make sure that they are exactly M10, not 10mm. They're not. 9.77. Okay. So we'll draw that on there. Oh, wrong pen. Jeez. Okay, so we'll have 2 bolts, and we'll have the overall distance. So 9.77. The other one should be exactly the same. Yeah, nearest, damn it, 9.78. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll measure all the way. We'll just make sure we're on 0. Reset. You got to watch these things because they move around. Okay, and we've got on there 99. Well, it's pretty parallel. That's all right. Let's check in that. 97.82. Okay, so the full distance across is 99.82. That was 9.78. So we'll just deduct one of those because the nearest damn it, well, they're basically the same. All right, so 99.82 minus 9.77 will give us the distance from the 2 centers. So 99.82 minus 9.77 equals, right, so we've got 99.82 minus 9.77. 90.05. You know what? It's going to be 90, isn't it? It's going to be 90mm. Guarantee it. So it's 90mm across there. There's no way they're going to make it 90.05, right? We're not that accurate anyway. Okay, so 90mm from the center of that hole to the center of that hole, which means if we mark, we've got a center mark, or oh, light's gone out. we've got a centre mark already marked on the steel. So 90mm divided by 2 is 45mm. So we just need to mark on the steel from the centre point 45mm out. Set our little compass up, score it round, and wherever it intersects each of these, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, we can drill the holes. Because fortunately, pure luck, the stud holes are in line with the holes for the freewheeling hubs. So I'll take that as a win. All right, we'll just set this to 45. There's different ways of doing this. I'm not too sure how accurate this is. It didn't work too well last time. I had to make some minor adjustments, so I have to abort mission. So we're going to set it to 45. Mr. Accuracy. Come on, there we go, 45. Oh, 44.99. What the hell, Andy? There we go, 45. Okay, I'm just going to put it in the center. That's my very large center dot. I know, Andy, you should never do this. Okay, so I've marked 45mm from the center to that line there. Turn that off because the battery's about to die. I'm going to bring in my little scriber. I find this is a better way of doing it than using the scriber or the compasses directly on a ruler. And then we will just line that up. Looks pretty good. Compare it to a ruler. Looks about right, does that? Let me score 2 lines on here and see how that's going to compare. So there's one. 45. About a mil difference, isn't there? Okay. Yeah, that stands out about this. There's your inaccuracy. I don't know why it is inaccurate. Is it because that center's not in the center? It sits at the edge. It's not a proper point, is it? That could well be it. So we'll do it properly. We'll use the ruler and we'll line it up because we need this to be accurate, right? So yeah, there's about a mil difference. And that would account for why I had to redo these. God damn it. That's 45mm to this larger line here using the verniers in the center here. As you can see, a big center punch mark to there, and then me measuring it out using sight to line up the center of the center punch mark. We've now got this smaller mark here, and you can see there's about a millimeter's difference, if not 1.5. It's quite substantial. So what we're doing that again. Right, Mrs. Mechanic's making me a nice egg sandwich. So I haven't got over long, but I'm trying to do this for you so you can see. So that's in the center of the circle. We're now going to bring it out until it lines up with that one. Okay, I think we're there. Let's just extend that line a little bit. Yeah, that's bang on, isn't it? That looks pretty good. Looks good on camera. Happy with that. So we've already got that one marked. There isn't a hole there. So we'll extend that round to here. And to here. And to here. And to there. think she needs sharpening up a little bit. There we go, that's good enough for me. Okay, so now I just need to put a centre punch mark on each of these. That one there, look, that one there, and so on. We'll get there, we'll get there. It's just painstaking, isn't it? Marking out stuff and hoping you get it right. Right, centre punch is sharp. Now, just a little I know I'm telling you some people how to suck eggs, and this is just how I do it. It could be completely wrong, so don't copy me, whatever you do. I do like a little mark. Have a look with my terrible eyesight. A bit more. Yes, I'm happy with that one. That looks pretty good, and then we'll do a proper one. There, look. So that's that one marked. Because if you just do a little one first, you've got the opportunity to adjust. You know, so this one here wants to go in that direction a little bit, so we can put that back on there, lean the centre punch in the direction we want it to go, and you see it move. And now we can do a bigger one. Yeah, I'm happy with that one. That's good. And a big one. There we go. And we just keep doing that. What you don't want to do is do a whacking great smack on the first one, because then you don't have the ability to adjust. No. There we go. All right, honey, 1 minute. Just marking out. Now, I know there's a sandwich, but we can't rush this. You see, that one's a bit far in now, so we'll just go like that, lean it out. There we go, that's better. Sorry about all the earthquakes. And it's important that you've got good light when you're doing this kind of stuff, because it's so hard to see sometimes. You can get engineer's blue that you can put on the metal to see your scribe lines better. Maybe I'll have to get some of that, because, you know, year on year it's getting worse. Everybody's eyesight gets worse, doesn't it? Well, that's pretty good. There we go. Sorry about all the bangs and stuff, but anyway, we're all done. So we'll do the same thing. I'll drill those. Fingers crossed it's going to work. Done. Will it fit? I don't know. Hope so. Oh, just. Okay. Okay, they're all in. Is that one going to be tight? Oh no, it's not too bad actually. It's just probably from last time trying to get it in. We get the impact wrench back in a second. Coolio. Right, they're all in. Ooh, next question is, will these drop through the holes below? They should do. Yep, that's that one. Yes, 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 yes. Hoo-hoo!
So, what's next, Andy?
So the next job now is to make those little spacers on the lathe which will go between the plate and the mounting surface of the wheel on the hub. So measure up. Let's take a look. Okie dokie. So the dowels that I need to make up, I say dowels, they're going to have, you know, all the spacers. We'll call them spacers, okay? So there'll be spacers to go in here, because obviously if we tighten that bolt up as it is, it's going to try and break off that casting. We don't want that. So I'm going to take the steel plate off, and I can use my verniers to measure down from the top face of the hub down to the face here where the wheel goes. Looks about 25mm. I'm not exactly sure. Plus I could do well to clean that surface off there a little bit as well. So there'll be 6 of those to make on the lathe, and I'll use that bright steel that we got from the gym equipment that we use for the pivot. Should be fine. Right, so I'll have these out for now. Okie dokie. Where's this gonna go? I'll stick it underneath for now. Ready? Are you ready? Jeez. Okay. I'll just do this one so we can get the verniers on. Okay. Verniers don't lie to me now. They've been very good over the years. Oh yeah, 25.11. So I wasn't far off my micrometer, was I? Okay, so 25.1 will be fine. 6 of those. 25.11mm spacer. That rings a bell. Pretty sure I made some of those actually a while ago. Let's go have a wander around the workshop, see if we can find them. Nope, not in there. Nope, not in there. Nope, not in that one. Won't be in those. Let's try around here. Ah, yes, where we put all the Myford lathe bits. Nope, not in there. Nope, not in there. Ah, perfect. Just enough. Excellent. Right. So these basically just sit on there. This is where the bolts will come through. They're all going to sit on there, look. So, test fit required. Oh yeah, they're absolutely bang on, are those. Dead level. Right, I'll get the plate and we'll see if it fits. Oh, doesn't get any lighter, does it? Okay. Right, we'll put all these through first. Oh, that's going to require a bit of jiggly pokery. There we go. And that one. One more. Excellent. Okie dokie. These will all be cap head bolts, high tensile, 12.9 when it's all done. Just to be on the safe side, and they'll look great. Oh, yes. Look at that. Right, I'll turn it over. Hopefully there's enough room on the bench. Look at those. You need a close-up, don't you? Now, bearing in mind, these bolts that run through here, well, these are too short. Obviously, they're going to come further down, have a nut on the bottom. But we'll have all the heads on the top side of the plate. Oh, that one's a little bit loose, but hey, what the hell. But once it's all tightened up, I reckon it'll be good, but that's excellent. Now, don't forget, we've still got the brake disc to go back on, because then at the end of this box section, there'll be a bit of angle iron or something like that, and there'll be a pin, and the disc will have 4 holes drilled in it so we can lock this plate in position, basically with the engine upright, on its side, upside down, or on its other side. That's the plan. Oh, these days are flying by. That's taken me, well, I did do a couple of other little jobs on the side in between bits and pieces, but another day has gone. Whoosh! Probably about 5 minutes for you, but a whole day for me. It's crazy. So I've got next weekend to get this thing finished. This is the hardest part, is getting all this rotational part at the top finished and proper. Once that's done, I've just got casters to put on. They're over there. I've got some brackets to make and weld to the frame. We've got some steel to weld onto the 2 legs that come forwards, because I'm going to put some timber across there for your drip tray. We've got the mechanism that's going to go on to keep the vertical piece vertical, so you've got some adjustment. There's still that to do. And a couple of handles, and that's probably about it. Bit of a tidy up. And then I'll hand it over to Mrs. Mechanic. She'll clean it up and paint it. And then final reassembly, and it'll be done. But it has to be done by the end of next weekend, realistically. Be nice to have it done when Ben gets here the following weekend. Okay, crew, well, it's time for me to pack up. See you in a few seconds. Now then, crew, and welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. Now, while I was in Auckland this last week, I managed to pick up some nice high tensile 12.9 bolts, M10 and M12, just the right length for that swivelly hub. So I've put it up on the motorcycle hoist because I need a bit more room to work on. It's a bit lower than the main bench, so it's ideal for continuing with this project. So let me show you around where we're up to, and then we'll plan our attack of what we're going to do next. Follow me. Right, a bit of freehand for you. Okay, so the main upright is in position now. I'll put the pivot back through again. So that's how it's going to look. These are the bolts that Jared got me from Forge up in Auckland. Top bloke, he really is. These are not quite the right size washers yet, but they'll do for now. And this is only temporarily put on. Look at that. It's mesmerizing, isn't it? It's pretty cool. Obviously, this is all just temporary to get the angles right and everything, and so we can visualize what's going on. And as regards the base, nothing yet has changed. I had to clamp the whole thing down because, of course, it's very, very top heavy at the moment. And it's adjustable because I've got the motorcycle jack in there. I can adjust that up and down. Now, I'm not going to do any more to this bit at the moment. It's going to require, I think, probably for Ben's engine at least, just some holes putting in here that are going to line up with the 2 engine holes at the top. Now, I managed to find this. This is the plate that goes between the engine and the gearbox. So I've got some approximate measurements on there, and you can see here, look, that's one of the holes, and that's the other hole. So they'll be needing to drill some holes in the middle, central, up here, and we'll just put some spacers, some standoffs on there, and some long bolts through. That'll be nice and easy, because I want to get the center of rotation as low as I can, so it's in line with this. So we don't really need any swingy arms for the top. We do for the bottom, and because they're swinging adjustable, it won't matter if these 2 holes are slightly offset to the center line of these 2 holes. You know what I mean? Because, you know, engines are a bit weird sometimes. So that will allow for that adjustment, and it'll allow it to bolt up properly. So 2 holes to drill up there, 2 slidey arms to make down here, and then a couple of standoffs to make up there. So that bit's actually relatively easy. To make the slidey bits, I'm going to use some more of this, and I'm going to put it on the milling machine. That's the plan. And we're going to get maybe a 12 mil. I have to measure the bolt sizes. Maybe a 12 mil end mill. And we're going to machine out the grooves. Pretty cool. If I run out of time and I don't want to be quite so accurate, I'll just slip disc them out. But milling them out will be really cool, because it's not often I get a chance to use the milling machine. Now, I may well put a spacer on the inside of this box section with this ring of bolts. Now we've got this this adapter here that I can copy where the bolt positioning. I can very quickly knock up another plate. It's like a spreader plate to go on the inside, and then I've got to make a top cap to go on here. The brake disc isn't on at the moment. That's over there. And originally I was going to put the pin at the top, but I don't need the pin to be at the top. I could put the pin on one side. So the brake disc is going to be here, and then we can put a piece of angle on here with some kind of spring-loaded mechanism that pops the pin through the disc. I think that'll be enough, or we may not use a spring-loaded pin. We may just use a bolt, so we can actually bolt it up nice and tight, so there's absolutely no movement whatsoever. You know, it's all held rigid. That's probably the best option. Although I'd like to make a little spring-loaded pinny thing, but, you know, it may not be ideal. There could be a little bit of movement on that, and the engine moves around when you try to torque bolts up. So, you know, we've got to think practically. Now, just stepping back, the whole reason why we've got a pivot down the bottom is to allow... Sorry, I'm just set the focus. There we go. Do that. Okay, so we want to be able to adjust that upright. So if the engine's really heavy and it causes a bit of sag, which I don't think it will, but if it does, then we want a way of being able to adjust that upright back until we get the engine nice and level. And all of that gubbins, that adjustment stuff, is going to be at the back side, the rear side of that upright, because we want the upright to be able to be folded down, potentially, when the stand's not in use, so it can be stowed away. So it offers two options, or two features. One is we can adjust it so we can get the engine level, and the other is we can fold it down when it's not in use. I think it'll always be in use because we're going to make a little table for the top as well. So Ben can use it as a little trolley. And there's going to be some timbers going along the bottom there, look. So he can use it as, again, as a trolley to move heavy things around his workshop as well. You know, so it's going to be multi-purpose is this thing, not just an engine stand. Right, back to the bench. Okay, we've still got a few things to do. Let me grab some cardboard and a pen, and we'll make a list so we can tick them off as we go. And then we can decide what we're going to do next. We have got the casters. Is it ORS or ERS? I can't remember. Casters and brackets. We've got the vertical adjustment. Box adjustment. We've got the timber sort of deck, haven't we? To install, and we've also got the locking mechanism for the disc, for the brake disc. Okay, I think, other than the tidying up and the painting and that kind of stuff, which you don't want to see because it's boring, right? That pretty much sums up what's left to do on this project. So what do we do next? Well, that's easy. That's really easy. That's pretty easy as well, because we may just use a bolt and a bit of angle iron to line up with the holes in the disc. You know, who knows? So I'd like to work on that one next. I always like to do the harder stuff first. Okay. A drawing's coming up. So, how are we going to do this? So we've got, very simply, we've got the upright piece here. It's got the pivot down the base, and it's got, sticking out the front, it's got the hub. Very simply drawn, isn't it? Okay. Now, obviously, that wants to go, basically, the engine's going to pull it that way. We don't want it to go that way, but we also, the simple thing to do would be to put some kind of angle iron on the front with, let's say, a big bolt through here, which pushes down on the base. So if we want that to go back up, we just wind the bolt down, it increases the distance here, and the arm has to go back, right? Ideal. But that would stop this whole mechanism from folding down when we don't want to use the hoist. We want to stow it away. Or the stand, sorry. I keep calling it a hoist, the stand. So, because of that, everything needs to be at the rear. In my view, I'm sure there's lots of different ways of doing this. I need to do something simple. So, at the back, we've got the base. So I'm just going to draw that across here. Obviously, there's some brackets for the pivot. And what I suggest we do is we have at the base, or not too far down, because we've got leverage to worry about as well, leverage, we're going to have a piece of angle coming off the back of the vertical. And that angle will sit like that, ideally, and it will have some kind of a gusset, no doubt, across there. Now, in order to get this to go that way, the direction that we want it to go to counteract the force of the weight of the engine, we need to push downwards on that bracket. How are you going to do that, Andy? Because whatever you put here is going to stop this from folding down as well. I have a cunning plan. So the mechanism will have a pivot. Here, look. And there'll be a piece that goes up from the pivot and across like this. And there'll be, again, a large, the biggest bolt I can find, maybe two, I don't know yet, which will come down and it will rest against there. There'll be a nut on the underside of there. The bolt will stick out the top like that. And then we can turn the bolt. This is all threaded. We can turn the bolt. That will push down on the angle iron and bring this back. There'll be a bracket off the base here, which will also go through the pivot. And when you want to drop this down, you can release the bolt, wind the bolt back out, and then this whole piece here will come backwards like this and allow this to drop down. Makes sense? I hope it does. It's what I came up with. Like I say, there'll be lots of other ways of doing this. I don't want to involve hydraulics in this. I've got lots of old bottle jacks and stuff. I could easily use a bottle jack to do a similar thing, but I don't want to do that because bottle jacks can leak and they can fail and this stand could drop suddenly. If it's a mechanical adjustment like this, it's far more reliable. I know, we do a lot of talking on my videos and all you want to see is me make stuff, but I've got to take some of the viewers on the journey. It's about the brainstorming for me. That's the value of these videos to some people, is working things out, coming up with plans of attack, because I didn't quite know what to do on this area to achieve what I wanted. In fact, at the very start of this series, that vertical piece wasn't even going to be adjustable. It wasn't going to have a pivot. But hey, it has now, and there's a very valid reason for it. So we need this adjustment to work. Okay, well, let me have a mooch around the workshop, see what I can come up with. Well, one thing I've worked out is steel stock is getting low. A bit like Apollo 13, this, trying to finish the project and get the shuttle, get it back to, the rocket, the pod back to planet Earth. Now, as regards a bolt, a brainstorm. A long time ago, I came up with a jig, and it had this massive bolt on it, and this is the largest bolt I've got. It's about, I don't know, 24 mil in diameter. It's a 10.9, so it's pretty strong. And it's, how long is it? Just so you know. I've only got one, so we can't mess it up. This is 600 millimeters long on the threads. And the bolt head size is approximately 40 millimeters across the flanks. And I only have one nut. And the nut's been hammered to death by one of the big impact because we're doing some kind of torque process on the nuts and stuff. I made a big jig for it. It was really cool, actually. But now it's been surplus. It's been up in my rafters for years and years, and now it's going to be repurposed for this particular job. Now, let me show you it really is a fag packet drawing, okay, that I've done. It wasn't the drawing that I planned to put on the video, but I haven't really got time to do another drawing. But it'd be work in progress. So, I'll talk you through my cunning plan. I know, it's just a jumble of lines, isn't it? Okay, so we've got the vertical piece here, we've got the original pivot here for that, and we've got the base of the steel, the big box section here, and the upright around here somewhere. It's not drawn on there. So there's going to be a couple of vertical pieces that will be welded to the back of that smaller box, which is the 50 by 100, which sits somewhere around there, right? And I've actually made a change. This is going to be angled slightly, a bit like that. Doesn't need that bit on it. And there'll be basically a pivot point here. Now that pivot point is 200 mil from the base of that box. The box is 100 tall, another 100, and there's the pivot point, and then we need some steel above that because there's going to be an awful lot of force wanting to pull that pivot pin upwards. So we need some real thick plate steel for this. So I've used that 10 mil again that we've got. And then there'll be the top half, the bit that swings away when you want to fold the main piece down. So that'll be made of the same stuff. This is going to be 80 millimeters across, and the hole is about 25 mil. So we need to make sure there's enough meat on either side of the pivot on both pieces so it doesn't fail. Because I can't stress how much force there's going to be on this. It might be too much, I don't know. And then there's going to be a big piece on the back of basically I'm going to make this because I haven't got the angle thick enough, and it's going to be made up of two pieces, which will then it'll be a separate component, so to speak, made separately, and then it'll be welded onto the actual upright once we've got the positioning absolutely perfect. So by making it separate, I can move it up and down to suit how much thread that I've got left, to compensate for my poor design, should I say. This is the bolt at the top. There's the bolt head. You've got an idea. There's a drawing a bit further up about that with some more approximate measurements. There we go, look. So this is an end view, looking from the back of the stand. We've got the two uprights coming up. We've got the big pivot through the middle. We've got this smaller piece here, look, which pivots on that pin. And then we've got the nut, the bolt and the nut in there. Now, one thing we're very fortunate to have is this bit of socket, which the nut fits into. So I want to use that. I don't want to weld the nut straight onto the steel work. I want to cut this off and weld it onto what I'm going to be using, because it'll allow it to float a little bit if need be. Because don't forget, the bolt's going to sit and gravity's going to pull it down. So I think that'd be quite a useful feature. We may as well use it because it's going to go in the bin otherwise. So I now have a lot of cutting to do. So I've marked it out. It's not that easy to see on this because it's pretty rusty steel, but we've got this plate, which has got the pivot point there. Look, it's going to have a hole saw hole in there. We've got two of these, identical, all marked out. I've got those to cut out. And then at this end, I've got two more pieces, which will form these bits on the drawing. Okay. The first bits, F, is these bits down the outside here, which is this piece here on this drawing here. Okay, you got the idea. It's very, very approximate. This is not a blueprinted design. Now, I'm going to put a covenant on this. I don't know if this is going to work with the engine hanging on it. There's going to be so much force. I can't replicate it in the workshop. I reckon it's about 350 kilograms, and it hangs a long way off that, off the hub. So this could be quite significant, but I'm going to do my very best. I'm using the thickest steel I've got, other than some more of the 25mm thick plate, which is just going to be monstrous to work with. So 10mm plate it is. Let me get these cut out, and then we can get them tack welded on and see where we go from there. Back in a minute. Right, those are the two bits for the top half, the bit that swings. We still need the piece to go across the top, running out of steel. And we've got the two pieces which are going to clag the back of the rearmost box section on the base. That's all done. I've got the holes to put in these two, and there'll be two holes to drill in those as well. And bonus, we've gained a couple of gussets, which will be very useful for the back of the vertical, the bit that we adjust. So I've got those in stock. It's quite badly rusted, is this, because it misses the mechanic quite some time to clean those up before we can paint them. But I've got to get them welded on. It'll be easier to clean them now, but it's not my department. That was a very quick cut, wasn't it? This is my Metabu or Metabu, depending on where you're from in the world. 125mm diameter grinder, 5-inch grinder. It is absolutely incredible. It's a professional one, a commercial, industrial type tool. And there's no identification on it whatsoever. So there you go. That's what I bought. It was $550 New Zealand, but it's a weapon. It really is. It'll cut all day. It doesn't really get hot. Anyway, we've got some bits. Now, before we start to weld bits onto the main frame, it will be prudent for me to now cut a piece that's going to go across. This is the bit that swings. So we do that way around. It's going to swing down and swing up with the bolt in the top, right? So I need another piece that's going to go across from one side to the other, and I've got to weld all this up so it's nice and true, and you know, because it's going to rotate, it has to be accurate. So this is 80mm wide, this stuff, and I want the piece that's going to weld onto the upright, which the bolt rests on, wants to go the full width of that monster box, which is 150mm. So I need a piece that goes across there, 150. This is then going to sit, it's going to straddle either side of that, and then the uprights will be on the outside of these. So it's getting quite wide, which is not ideal, to be fair, but anyway. So I need some more steel. I'm running out. I have to go and find some more. It's not ideal. Bit of a clean up. This is all dirt that's on it. It should be fine. It's about the same thickness, about 10mm, and we've got lots of it. It's pretty potholed, to be honest. It's been outside in the garden for a long time, and it's a piece that we were given that was found in somebody else's garden, and it's not very straight. If you can see that or not. So I'm a bit reluctant to use that. It's sort of, you can see it rises up in the middle. So that's going to have to go back on the back burner. However, I've found this. This is 10mm thick steel, but it's only 70mm wide, not 80 that I need. Now I know it's got a hole in it. I can fill that with a MIG. It's not a problem. So on these two bits, I'm just going to put a little taper to bring it down to 70 wide at the top. It'll be fine. It's a scrap heap challenge thing, isn't it? So you've got to make use of what you've got. And I think that's the best option. So what's still to do on this piece? Well, I need to cut off the bit of sockets off that other plate and weld it on there. Or I cut that plate down and stick it down the bottom to beef it up. You know, why not? Extra's good, right? And there should be enough thread on the bolt to do that. So I will do that. In fact, I will cut this plate down so it sits inside, clean it up, and we'll just weld the whole thing in. Easier and better. That's a win in my book. Jeez! A bit over the top for those pliers. Okay, so don't worry about it wobbling around, that's just the bench. Okay, so that, I need to flat that off, but that's going to sit in there and hold the nut. Now, what do we like for bolt length? Okay, so, geez, it's going to be hot. Okay, Mr. Bolt, clean up required aisle 3. We'll go in there. We'll go on there. That will go in there. Are we going to be all right? Jeez, doesn't give us a lot, does it? I think we'll be all right. I think we'll have enough. I think. What do you think? We've got, where's my welding splattered ruler now? 20 mil. 20 mil of additional force, movement, travel against that rest point will make a huge difference on the angle of the engine. It'll be significant. If for some reason that's not enough, I can go and get a bigger bolt, a longer bolt, same thread and nut and stuff. So I'm not too concerned. I'd rather factor into it now some additional strength into this piece, because this is going to be under tremendous amounts of stress, and I have a sneaky suspicion that it may bend in the middle. Obviously the socket's going to help, but hey, more the merrier, right? So why not? While the socket's welded to another plate, clag the whole thing together. Scrap heap challenge. That's what it's all about. That's what they would do. Right, I've got to flatten that off. That needs to go in the vise for that. Ooh, it's coming on nicely now. I must get this finished today, otherwise I'm going to be way behind schedule for tomorrow. So I've marked up the gap, centralized it all and everything. Looks pretty damn good. You might just be able to make out the score lines down here, and I've put some box underneath so it's all level with the base of the stand. Now they are scored to this, so they should be right, but see that one there has got a bit of a gap at the top, so it just needs to. There we go. That's better. Must be square, otherwise it won't work very well. This one. Yeah, this one needs to. I'd rather go out a little bit than come in, because clearance is good. No clearance isn't going to work at all. Ooh, that'll do nicely. Right, will it fit in the gap without knocking it? Let's find out. Okay, I can probably just about get it in place. Yes, we've got about 1.5 mm clearance, so we should be good at that. Okay, I will get those tacked in and then we'll test it. Now, remember Andy, we're only tacking this in. Okay. Well, moment of truth. Okay. That's 2, 3, okay, 4. Yes. Oh yes. I reckon it'll be just fine. Okay. Now, before I weld on that extra plate under here, I want to now fabricate up this piece. I'm not going to weld those in until it's all done, it's all tacked now. I want to make up the bracket that's going to stand off the back of the vertical. And it's going to need to come out, and that's sat upright. It's going to need to come out realistically for the bolt 100 millimeters from that surface there. Doesn't need to go all the way to here because there's got to be enough clearance for this to come down. And that's why I've made it quite long from the pivot. So I think we should be all right at that. 100 mil on the arm. And it'll sit about there. Oh, there's loads of room. That should be fine. Okay. Back to the bench. Woohoo! Holy crap, I'll just check the time. It's 5 PM. I didn't get going till about 11 this morning. A few other bits and pieces to get done, as always. Can I get that bit finished today? Going to find some more steel now for that piece that's going to go on the back of the leg. And like I said before, I'm going to make it completely separate piece so I can tack it into place and test everything before I weld it into position. So we need a plate 150 wide, that's the width of that vertical piece, by 100, and a couple of gussets, and we need a plate for the back as well, so probably 150 by another 100. Holy crap. What am I going to use for that? It needs to be thick, right, because it's going to be supporting that bolt, but I could be smart and put the gussets, it doesn't need to be, you know, oblong. It could be, I want to put it all the way across to spread the load, but it could taper in to maybe a 40 mil center. I think a drawing is required. Here we go. Okie dokie. Right, we on camera? We are on camera. Right, so this is just the piece that's going to go on the back. So if we've got the vertical piece here, this is a side view. So there's your pivot there, look. We need a plate that's going to sit and be welded to the upright. That needs to have a plate coming off, and I'll do it like that so that I can put a nice fillet weld in there, but still get in from the top and then weld the whole thing to the upright. So that distance from there to there needs to be 100. So obviously this is a 10 mil plate, that's the plan. That only needs to be 90. Okay, got it, Andy. And then of course there'll be some gussets that will come down from here to, because that's where all the force is on there. That bolt's going to be applying a tremendous amount of force to that, to the end of this bracket. So from this side here, if we look down from the top, actually, a top elevation as we call it. Then this top plate, we'll call it S, is going to be, or can be, something like that. Excuse my shit drawing, that's supposed to be a centre line down there. So that distance there to there is 90. We've already worked that out. The distance from here to here is going to be 150, full width of the upright. And the gusset, maybe only one will be enough actually. We can put a gusset bang in the middle here, because that's directly below where the force is. It doesn't. If the gusset was here, then all the force would be on the plate, and it might bend. But if we put it down the middle, it'd be super strong, and the bolt should hit about there and rest on it. So we're going to need a piece. Cutting list. Are we still on camera? We are. 150 by 90. That's S. We're going to need the back piece here, which is full width gusset, which is 150 by, that could also be 90, couldn't it? It doesn't have to be 100, it could be 90. So we need two of them. And then whatever the gusset's going to be, which is going to be, so the gusset will be, here we go, look, will be 90 by 90. And we'll just do it 45 degrees. Job's a carrot. And again, that'll be out of 10 mil. Plenty strong enough, I think, especially when it's under compression. Okay, now the problem is I need more steel. I'm struggling. I've got this massive plate in front of me, but it's bent and it's really, really rusty. It doesn't quite complement the rest of the work that we've done, does it? And the clock's ticking. I've got to get this made, put on, tested, and all the final welding done, and then I can go in for my tea. And then we start all over again tomorrow. Okay, leave it with me. Let me have a hunt around, see what I can find. Wish me luck. I have found an old V-block. So I'm going to cut that top plate off. This happens to be exactly 150 wide. I can get both plates out of that. How cool is that? Okie dokie. That was a massive stroke of luck. Okay, so it needs to be 90 by 150. This is the backing plate. The one that's going against the upright. Okay, where's my pen? So that one's the easy one. That's 150 by 90. This one is going to be, oh, look at that, 90. Looks pretty parallel to me, Andy. Right, oh, jeez. You can tell when it gets towards the end of the day and you start getting a bit knackered, you make mistakes. Now this one, we will have, I think, how wide is it? It's 150 wide, isn't it? So let's do 50 in the middle. So the centre line, 75. Do we even need a centre line? We don't do it. So we'll just do one. We'll just do 50 on the end, and 100 like that. And then we can. We need to keep full width because there's a weld line going down there. So let's keep a full width for 20, which is 70. There. So just score that one across. Keeping the square in the right place. Can you see what we're doing? Oh, you can now. Jesus, Andy. Okay, that'll do. Okay, that's blunt. Okay. And then all we need to do, still on camera, we are spinning it around, is cut these corners off. One. Two. Okay, so this is scrap, and this is scrap, and that's scrap down the middle. Okay, so this will be the top plate, and that's where the bolt's going to rest on here, and there'll be a gusset underneath, and this is the rear plate which will receive the gusset. Whew, right, cutting time. Right, I'll get those cleaned up. Super fast cutting, isn't it? Anyway, I'll get those cleaned up, and in the meantime, here's a word from tool girl Holly. Holly, over to you.
Seriously, Andy? Still got that ponytail?
That's going to be where the gusset goes, and I've cleaned that up already. We'll stick him on there. Now, that's the gusset side, so that's down. And we'll just bring these two up until they touch. There we go. Where's my little tappy stick? It's pretty good. So we know that this is 90 degrees. It has to be because it's on the block. And it's on the block both sides. So I'll tack that and then we'll check it. You need to step back a bit because you know, welding and cameras don't go together. As that cools, you've got to try and pull that apart so it's more than 90 degrees. We don't want that, so just a little bit of a weld. Get rid of those. Now, where's my square? Oh yeah, we're still good. Okay. Right, we'll use one there. Another little trick. You can always do a better weld if the weld surface is level. Anyway, we're just going to tack it anyway. And I didn't clean it up across there. Just tack it anyway. Made a mistake. I should have cleaned this up as well. Alright, where's my square? See, that's pulled it back in now. I'll do some more welding on this side. Hang on. Okay, before we do any more, we need to put the gusset in. Otherwise, I'll be chasing my tail with it. So, do we use one of these as a gusset? We can do it that way. Will that be enough? I reckon that'll be enough. I know we were going to have a gusset all the way to the base, but man, this is 10mm. It's not going to bend, is it? So we could use that. I'll trim that down, and then we can weld that in. Okay, we have our gusset, and it's hot. Okay, that's more like it. So that hot is going to to sit on there. Ah. Oh, you little tiny one. There we go. Get all the swamp off. Put it on this side. Now, are we going to clean that off? I have to clean that off first. Hang on. Bear with me. You see, when you try rushing and cutting corners, things take longer. If I just cleaned that up when it was on the bench before I welded it, it's so much easier. Ooh, hot. Jesus. Sorry. Hot. Okay. That is. Ignore that. It's actually a centre line, so that's good. So don't ignore that, Andy. That looks bang on. Welding time. I've gone for a really slow wire speed, so there's not too much splatter. Otherwise, Mrs. Mechanic will go mental. Right, wires. I'm going to do the opposite side now. Whoa! I don't want to take too long between welds, otherwise it will put stress in. Nice. Okay. It's off. It's getting hot. Now, welding this other one, I want to go away from my welding I've done so I don't cover it in splatter. Not that there is much at the moment, which is good. don't know what happened there. Had a bit of a bounce, didn't it? Things are getting a bit hot. Oof. Okay. Oh, that's hot. You want to see this, don't you? I know you do. Okay, now I've not fully welded that. Normally I would put another row across the top, but it's going to be welded to the uprights, so I want to leave a bit of room for that, and it'll probably be a weld that way and another weld that way. You'll see it later on. What the hell are you talking about, Andy? But this is very hot. See, it's changed colour. We'll turn him around. How's that? In fact, I'll get you a torch. Hang on, let's get torchy. Because I know you want to see the welds. Okay. Now it'll clean up as regards all the smoke and stuff. But that's not bad, is it? That's pretty damn strong as a bracket out of 10mm plate. That will work. If it doesn't work, I'll eat my hat. Damn it. Why do you say these things, Andy? They'll hold you to it. I'm not going to chuck it in the water. I want it to cool down normally. I don't want to make it brittle. And, well, I'll be back shortly. Here's another word from Tool Girl Holly. In fact, I didn't thank her for the last one. Holly, really apologise. Honestly, continuity's crap, isn't it? Anyway, over to you. Have fun with the viewers.
Hey! While Andy's doing that, check out my Instagram page, Tool Girl Holly.
We are so close to finishing, but we must not rush it because this is really, really important. We get these brackets on in the correct places. So, I've set the engine stand up on the motorcycle hoist as it was earlier on, but I've given it a few tweaks. Let me show you what I've done. Okay, so I have levelled these bottom legs, and we are not exactly, this isn't Project Binky, it's almost dead level, it's 0.1 of a degree out. Not concerned about that. Happened to be a bit of box section worked. Yes, I could shim it, but tea's ready. So what we'll do now is we'll clag this on there, and I'll set you up so you can watch the dial and you can tell me when it's dead level, and then we'll be able to set the position of this back plate, the one that we've just made. It's currently clamped in approximately the right position, but it's not exactly the right position. The beauty of editing, right? Okay, I can flip the screen around, but you're watching this now. I know that it says 88.7 degrees. So I'm going to move the motorcycle stand up, I think. Or is it down? Down, maybe? No, wrong way. Up. And we'll just set that to exactly... Wrong way again, Andy. It is down. I was right the first time. 88.6, 7, 8, 9, 89 degrees. We want 90. 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 7, 0.8, 0.9. Yes, that's Project Binky. Okay, so where are we at? Let's get you some light on the matter. There you go. Okay, so the bolt is currently loose, and as is this piece here. This can still swing. So I wanted to get it so that it's pretty down, because the bolt's marginal, isn't it? You could do with a longer bolt, really. I want to make sure that if I hold the bolt up, which that's the position it'll be in, does it clear? And it does. Could we go any closer? And we are 1 millimeter off on that arc. Let me try and get you a bit closer so you can see. Because you won't believe me, will you? There's always somebody in the comments, and you know who you are, that won't believe me. Right, see if this is going to work. So you're looking at the gap up here. There's the bolt, holding the nut up. I'll get Torchy and put him at the back. There, look. It's hard to make out the gap, but I'm telling you, it's about 1 millimeter. So I'm actually quite happy with that. There we go. So we're going to leave that where it is. But I do need to square this up and double check it before I tack it into place. Pretty close. Okie dokie, so we can get rid of, well actually I need to leave all that in place really, so we can double check it once it's squared up. I need to make sure that this is perpendicular to this, so I need my square, which is, where's it gone now? If I pop that on there, that will give us a surface to go there, and I use this as a guide. I know it's not perfect, but anyway. See how we get on. Like that. There we are. You can tell I'm tired now, okay? Right, okay. So, extending that surface, coming to there. How does it look? Oh, that looks perfect. That, no word of a lie, that is absolutely bang on. So we'll remove things without knocking it. It does need a little tap. Where's my hammer? It needs a little tap across, which means I'm going to have to check it again. Yeah, that's central now. So we'll have one more go, just to be sure. Stick him on there. Right. Extender. That. Yeah. I'll go with that. It's good enough for the girls Eric goes with, right? Sorry, Eric. I couldn't resist. Okay, so what we need now is an earth clamp, and then we can tack that into position. Let's just double check we've still got clearance. We do. Perfect. Okay, get rid of the square, get rid of those. Welding time. The last bit of welding for today. That can come down. There we go. God damn it. Jesus. Alright, I'm going to get this welded up, let it cool a little bit. We'll stick it back in the frame, we'll double check everything works, and we'll call it a day. I'll see you in a few seconds. Got the pin back in. Okay, so I can now lift this up, no mean feet. Jesus. Okay, that can go on there. That should now lock, shouldn't go anywhere. And then should it droop, we can then, that's his happy place just there, look. I don't think it needs any kind of lip on the end. It can't really go anywhere. And then let me get my big spanner. Hang on. Right, so Fred, big spanner coming up, and then we can turn that, and that will pull it back, as you can see. Now the beauty of having this pivoted is it keeps the nut at 90 degrees to that adjustment plate. It sort of self-aligns. It's pretty damn good, actually. Very impressed. I don't know how far we can go before it'll go over centre. Ah, yes. That's okay. I don't know why that fell off, because the nut is being pushed up anyway. So there's not really any force on it. It was just holding that little bit in place. That little plate that I've still got to weld in, which I will do tomorrow. It's too late tonight. That's about 3 mil of adjustment, so to speak. There we go, working fine now. So it's come quite a long way back. Okay, spirit level going on. You'll have to believe me when it says. So we are now at 88.9, so we've come back a whole degree. And there's still, as you can see, quite a chunk of bolt left. We're about a third of the adjustment, so I think there's going to be plenty of adjustment there. I think it's going to work really well. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm not allowed to do any more now. Okay. Back to the bench. Oh, I wish I'd started earlier today. I really do. But anyway, not to worry, you know, work in progress. Achieved what I set out to achieve today, which was to do that locking mechanism. The adjustment for the rear, it can fold down, it's got plenty of adjustment, it's plenty strong enough, I'm sure of that. Bolts easily replaceable if it does strip the threads. There is a safety feature in the design that I've done where if the bolt does strip the threads, the vertical arm will only drop so far. It can't fall to the ground. The end-shaped piece of steel that's holding the bolt and the nut in place will catch that bracket. So I would hope. I could also rig up a safety chain on there as well, so it just can't go too far. You know, there's another option, but I think it'll be all right actually. So tomorrow, we've got the caster mounts and the casters to fit. That'll be pretty cool. We've got the timber base to put on. I want to put the timber base dead flush with the two legs, so that it can be used as like a trolley, basically, if need be. And then what else is there? Locking. Oh yes, the locking mechanism for the disc that's still got to be put back on again. So when we rotate the engine, we can lock it in position. That actually is going to be dead easy, I reckon. So that's probably going to be the last job to do. Okay, crew. This is the end of this episode. We may as well do tomorrow as another episode because I've been filming most of the day. It's going to be quite a long video. Again. But hopefully you enjoyed the mythology behind the design, and it's going to be helpful to you. I mean, a lot of people that make engine stands won't make the vertical piece adjustable to compensate for sag. They just aren't. I've never seen an engine hoist that's got that feature on it. This might be the only one on the planet. Who knows? But I thought I'd do it because it makes it more interesting and it's fun for me. And Ben will go, "What the hell, Shrek?" as he always does. Okay, so end of the video. If you've not yet subscribed, click on subscribe, ring the bell, and then our friends at YouTube will send you notifications as and when I upload any new videos. And don't forget, there's over 900 videos on the channel already now. So there's lots to go at, even if Andy doesn't upload one for a few weeks, which is getting pretty normal because I'm really busy at the moment. Anyway, not to worry. You'll also find me on Facebook and Instagram. You can message me through either of those two portals. Facebook's got heaps of history on it about Andy Mechanic. The Instagram one got stolen, unfortunately, somebody with Bitcoin, so I've started a fresh one. So there's not that much history on there, but there's a few photos of this as well. Now, if you want to support the channel, and all support is very much well, gratefully received is what I would say. It's not instrumental to what we do, but it makes life an awful lot easier just having a few extra bucks coming in, because the earnings from YouTube in the last couple of years has plummeted. It really has. It's not ideal. I do this because I enjoy it, and I don't really plan videos in advance and go, "Ooh, this video will get lots of views, let's make a video on that." That's not the way I work. I make videos on what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is what needs to be done. I don't have the time to, just make a video on EV cars or blowing up, well, I did actually do that, but you know what I mean. If you want to email me, you can do. It's andymechanic@live.co.uk. Now, as regards the support, you can do that through Patreon and become a patron. Send a donation that way. You can do a regular donation, or you can just do a one-off if you like. Or you can jump onto PayPal, use the same email address, andymechanic@live.co.uk. Don't send it as a donation on PayPal, just send it as a payment. A couple of bucks. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Okay, crew, I have got a lot of tidying up to do, a lot of packing up to do. I've got to have a shower before I'm allowed to have my tea. So that'll be at least an hour's time, and it's already way gone 7 o'clock. See you on the next episode, episode 4, which I'll be filming in the morning. Have a good night. Over and out. And we get the flip up again.
Oh,
Yes.